Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to this week's episode of Karma Cards. I am your host, Therese Tucker, and it's always a pleasure to be here with you. All right, the energy right now. Let's see if I can pinpoint it down, because as I talk to my teams, weird stuff is happening. Number one, we are now inside our first Mercury retrograde of 2026, and it's happening in the sign of Pisces, which is not a sign Mercury likes to hang out with, because Mercury is all about precision, fast thinking, clarity, and Pisces is the dreamer. It's dreaming. It likes to go off on tangents. It likes to contemplate and expound and go into all the different sort of realms of thought and existence, and Mercury hates it here. So our mind doesn't feel as strong here when inside Mercury retrograde. And then, of course, it's a retrograde. So it's about going back and re-looking at things, revisiting energy. At the day I'm recording this, this is also the last day that Saturn will be in Pisces. And then it moves into the sign of Aries, getting ready for the big conjunction between Saturn and Neptune. So there's this sort of Pisces bent to today, sort of an energy of not quite being in our mind or super focused. And then with Mercury retrograde happening, it's just things don't always go as smoothly as planned. A lot of times it can affect our technology. It definitely affects our communication and finishing our thoughts. And that might be one of the things that's kind of tricky right now, is sort of finishing the sentence. You know how sometimes, at least I do this, but sometimes we start talking and then we trail off and finish in our head, thinking we said it out loud. Well, that causes a form of miscommunication because we left out a chunk of the information for the other person, which can cause, miscommunication, frustration, feeling like we're not in alignment or on the same page. That can increase at this time. Now, the good news with the Piscean energy is Venus is moving into the sign of Pisces, where Venus is exalted. And so the Venetian ideals of harmony and cooperation and beauty and love and relating and getting along with each other actually increase. So there's a kind of nice balance here, where mentally we might not be feeling like our thoughts are as coherent as we would like them to be. Our hearts are definitely in synchronicity with each other, and that's something that we can trust. Now, I want to get to the message that I have from the team, because talk about confounding Piscean thought process, where I'm like, guys, this is not a coherent message, and I have a little story to go with it. So I'm asking the team, what's the message for this week? What would you like us to know? And I'm going to share with you exactly what they gave me and the struggle I had and how my team just responded. So the message that I'm getting from my team is that discernment is out of alignment right now. We're not thinking clearly. Mercury in Pisces in retrograde. Boom, right here, right? So this is talking about, I didn't make the right choice. Mentally, I'm not putting the two things together accurately. I'm missing the plot. I am off in my thinking. Something I'm thinking about isn't actually true. So discernment is not present at this time, according to what I'm getting. And then I asked, well, what else is going on? Is there at least a medicine? I kept looking for what's the answer then? What is the answer? And then they said, we're also out of control with our bodies. And in this case, what I'm getting is nervous system. There is no nervous system alignment that is happening unless you put in great effort. So on default, the mind is out of alignment with discernment. The body is out of alignment with feelings of safety or feeling grounded. There's just this ungrounded energy here. And I'm thinking to myself, I've got to be able to read this as a positive message somehow. I've got to come up with, for you, a solution. I don't like just giving you this is what's happening, good luck, hope, wish you well. I want to give a solution. I want to give empowerment. I want to help you out. And so then I went to another resource, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to draw from a different deck, and I'm going to intuit the wisdom. And I went to my medicine cards, which talk about the different animal totems and the messages they have. And I draw a coyote reversed. And this is about being tricked or deceived. And possibly a karmic return, meaning whatever you put out there, if you were not as honest as you could have been with someone else, seeing the return of that dishonesty, or some kind of like, be prepared for any kind of manipulation, dishonesty, misunderstanding to hit you back. And I was sitting there reading it and I got so frustrated. I'm like, none of this is helping me give a solution. And I'm like, ugh. And I walked away to have some food. And as I walked away, I said, this is so frustrating. It's not giving me what I want. And my computer, which was off, responded with something along the lines of, I'm trying to remember the exact words it said. It's Surrey, right? I didn't say, hey, Surrey, which is what you're supposed to say to activate it. My team often uses technology to respond to me because they know that I will respond, that I will pick that up as you're interacting with me. And it said, I don't understand what you're trying to edit. So I said, I'm so frustrated. This is not what I wanted. And they responded with, I don't understand what you're trying to edit. And I was like, oh God, I just got called out, because the whole thing is I'm not okay. I'm not accepting the message. I want to edit it. I want it to resolve in a beautiful way, saying, hey, guess what? Your mind was out of alignment, but if you just do this, you'll be fine. And internally I heard, the problem is the resistance. And I know that they're talking about resistance on a couple levels here. On the personal level, they're like, Therese, you're resisting the message we give you. The message is, mentally, people are not in alignment right now. That's discernment is low. That's something, and it's going to cause mistakes. Could be because of Mercury in Pisces in retrograde. Could be because of misinformation. Whatever it is, discernment is low. 2, there is not a sense of like control over the body. The body's responding to threats of non-safety or not feeling safe, at least. And because of that, there is no discernment. You cannot access your critical thinking when you are in fight or flight. You can't. It turns off. It's actually in a different part of the brain. When you're in fight or flight, your amygdala is what's running you. When you're in your emotions, your amygdala is what is running you. This is a different center of the brain. All the critical thinking and stepping back and seeing the big picture is all happening in your prefrontal cortex, which you do not get to access in fight or flight because it's deemed as unnecessary. Your prefrontal cortex can only be accessed when you're calm and emotionally grounded and you feel safe and relaxed. And then it's like you can finally move into this frontal center where it's like I can start to see the pieces and pick them apart and notice how they fit together. Can't do that if you're stressed out, freaked out, scared, in a state of fear, don't feel safe, etc. And there's this element of a deceptive energy. And they said this deceptive energy can come from outside of you, meaning somebody actively trying to deceive you in some way, a scam artist, a disinformation person, like spreading fake information and all that crap can come from out there. But it also can be internally deceptive. I'm not willing to look at what is. And that's sort of like when they called me out and they said, what are you trying to edit? They were pointing out that you're in resistance to the message we give you because you don't feel like it's helpful. But you are also making that decision for other people without letting them hear it from us. So stop trying to edit it and just give it as it is. So that's the whole story and the message at the same time. Here's what they wanted us to know is this is all kind of messy right now, energetically. And 2, where are we in resistance to that? Because that creates more of the problem. And actually, it sometimes is the problem itself. Perhaps hearing this information is exactly what you needed to hear and would help you. But me getting in the way and interfering because I have a need or a desire to be a positive influence is actually causing a problem. Maybe it's just the truth of the moment that needs to be heard and not so much about a solution. And what I hear when I say it is like, how do I drop the resistance feels like the solution. If I'm in resistance to something, if I'm in resistance to the fact that I don't feel clear, why am I forcing myself into clarity? Can I just be with that for a minute? I don't have clarity. If I want a solution and it's not coming, can I stop resisting the fact that I feel like I don't have a solution? Can I be with that for a moment? If I am uncomfortable in a situation and all I'm doing is resisting that to get to comfort, am I actually delaying my comfort because I'm denying something that's happening? So there is a state right now that we're in that's not comfortable, and it doesn't feel good, and it doesn't feel solution oriented or maybe positive or uplifting. But it's actually not that state that's the problem. It's the resistance to that state that is the problem, because what we resist persists. And so right now it's kind of like it is what it is. And when you recognize that and you're allowing it, doesn't mean you want to stay there. I don't want to stay in a confused state or in a state where my nervous system just naturally goes out of alignment. Nobody does. But if I can accept that, that's where I am right now, and I don't push myself to change, but actually allow what is. There's sort of a magic transformation in that moment that we can get there because we finally gave ourselves the space to be there. We can get through it when we give ourselves that space. And so that is the message from the team right now. Now, I'm going to look at the karma cards with you and see what it adds to it, because I have no idea what they say, but I have pulled them from my team. So let's take a look at those now. If you are new to karma cards, let me quickly show you how these work. I have 3 decks here: planets, signs of the zodiac, and the houses of astrology. And I have already asked my team, what is the message for this week? And I have 2 sets of answers, a set in red, which are action related, and a set in blue, which are outcome related. And the way that you play is you tune in with that beautiful intuition of yours and feel, what is the guidance that would be most aligned for you at this time? Is it action related guidance, or are you more interested in how things will resolve? And of course, you can always choose both. And while you're choosing, let me tell you the timing for this reading. This reading is for February 12th through February 19th. And the flavor of this reading, okay, we've got the sun, which is about being. The sun represents a being state, a state we wish to be in. So it's definitely alluding to us like, be wherever you are. And the sign of Cancer, which is a very emotional sign, and it asks you to nurture yourself and be with your feelings, be where you are, not needing to force yourself in anything. It's instead about nurturing. In the 8th house, which is the house of mystery and transformation. So this is where deep transformation is taking place in our lives. Spiritual action at this time: demonstrate your feelings as a life or death issue. All right, when I hear life or death issue, I hear now or never. It means like it's got to happen now. There is no other time to do this. It's like you get this one opportunity to do it now. Recognize that this is the moment. Demonstrate your feelings means be in that feeling. And not all feelings are pleasant, right? When we're in frustration, oftentimes we try to get out of it. When we're in grief, we're fear or disappointment, or put in the emotion you don't like. We try not to be in that state. Someone asks us how we feel at that moment, and there's someone we don't know, we're like, we're fine, I'm fine, it's fine, right? Which is the cover up, if you will. Right now, it's to be in this state. And I don't get that the demonstration is for others necessarily, it's for you. You are allowed to be frustrated, fearful, angry, upset, overwhelmed, fill in the blank. You're allowed to be there. It's not your preferred state, probably, but denial doesn't allow us to transform. it just prolongs that process. Feelings like to be heard. They're just like you. When you have something you need to say, you want to be heard. And then it can act as a release valve. It removes the tension. Once you've had your say, the intensity decreases in you and you can feel like more settled in yourself. Your emotions feel the same way. They need a voice. They want to be acknowledged by you specifically, that this is a feeling that you're having. They give you information. They don't tell you the truth all the time, but they do give you information about where the mind has been and what my frequency is at right now. So it wants to be expressed so that you can decrease the tension in the system. Mental action at this time: realize attitudes from the past about getting and using power. All right, this is hitting like a bugaboo point for me, like a point where I get annoyed easily. And that is how so many people misinterpret the word power and talk about power and, negatively using power. I mean, it's a refinement point I would like to make, that oftentimes we associate power, or what we think power is, with control. Two different things. Power is soft, wide, and expansive. Control is harsh, narrow, and confining. And the whole idea is to confine something to a system, a belief, a regimen. Control wants to schedule and reduce and refine and narrows. And most people in their past think about the term power like that. What we have mistaken as power as actually control. And that's very different. So I think part of it here is to maybe make a personal assessment. How have I looked at power? What do I see power as? What did I think power was? Have I learned what power is? Because power is open, soft, expansive, wide, holding. It's an immense field that's holding you now. And when we tap into that, there's nothing we need to control, because we're so solid in ourself, in our understanding, in our place, when we understand what our power is. Physical action at this time: act like a leader, use your intuition, and use other people's resources. So right now, we're being asked to stabilize, and to be the leader of that means I'm not going to wait for something else to stabilize first in order for me to stabilize. I don't have to wait for the outside world to say, oh, this is safe and you can stabilize now, or a relationship or a job or fill in the blank. I'm not going to wait for anything to stabilize. Instead, I will lead the stabilization. I will follow my intuition on how to do that, and I will use the resources available to me. So in this case, other people's resources might be the books, the meditations, the audios, the classes, the guidance, whatever is around and available that teaches me how to stabilize into my energy field. That's what I'm going to use. So first, I have to stop resisting that I feel like crap, or I feel confused, or I feel out of control. And I have to acknowledge, yeah, that's how I feel. Okay, this is the feeling. Now, if I were to take lead on this and to make a conscious decision to stabilize, where would I go? And then I tap into my intuition. I would go out into the woods. Yesterday, we took like a hour and a half walk in the woods. So needed. And it was like, it pushed us, and people, before we went on this hike, people were kind of in a crabby mood. They didn't like that they had a routine, and now it was kind of cold outside. Yesterday the sun was out and it was beautiful, but it was cold. And, the hills felt steeper because we hadn't done this level of a walk in a long time. So the hills felt steeper and the road felt longer, and there was a lot of like pushback. And then at the same time, it was everything we needed, and I was pointing out to my kids, I'm like, the more we resist how long this is, the longer it will feel. So stop trying to, I literally said, because there's one point on this hike where the road just, you keep thinking the turn to get back onto the route home is right up ahead, and it's always like further than you think. And it causes like this mental moment where you really get fixated on where the hell is this turn? Like I want, I'm done. Like I want to get off and go back now. And the more you think about it, I swear to God, there's some kind of like magic there where it's like the more you think about it, the further away that exit is. And I had just said to my kids, the more we think about how long it's taking to get here, it's like the longer it goes. So stop thinking about it and let's talk about something else. And I changed the subject to what's your favorite breed of dog or something like that. And as soon as I did that, the exit was right there. And I'm like, case in point, like this is how you do it. This is how you shift the energy. And it surprised me too, because I was mentally preparing that this is another 100 feet before we get there. And then it was right there as soon as I changed the subject. And it was like such a fun universe teaching moment to be like, confirmation for that what we resist persists. And when we allow it, when we are okay with it, it's like it dissolves itself. But you can't get that through logicking it. You actually have to surrender to the moment. And when you surrender to the moment, it's like the moment can shift. It's the resistance to surrendering that keeps that moment elongated. So to be a leader is to sort of do what I did yesterday, where I'm like, look, the more we complain about this, the longer it's going to be. So let's change our mind. Let's literally think about something else. And the minute we all did that, there's the exit. And that's kind of a fun metaphor for what I'm getting from today's message. All right, so now let's look at outcomes with the sun in Cancer in the 8th house of mystery and transformation. All right, the spiritual outcome at this time is the creation of intuition to protect personal power. The irony with this whole method of non-resistance is the resistance gives us a belief that what I resist, I'm actually keeping at bay. The irony is what we resist literally keeps it like static with us. It can't leave. It stays because we're magnetizing it to us. By not wanting to look at it, we are constantly with it. It's so weird. But this is talking about how to literally tune in to your personal power, that you're creating it by simply allowing what is. I don't need to fix this right now. And that's something that I know I get caught in all the time. I got caught in it just trying to share this message with you. It's like, I want to fix that. And it's like, sometimes you don't get to do that. Sometimes that's not the answer. I know that sounds weird. It can resolve on its own if you will just be here. So by being here, you create the intuition to protect your personal power. Mental outcome at this time, the gaining of respect from or for attitudes from the past about the mysteries of life. I feel like this is a moment where we actually step into a feeling of like, I got this more as a kid than I do as an adult. I'm so used to the productivity aspect of being an adult that I almost forget how simple it is. Like as a kid, I wasn't trying to control these things. I felt them. And you know, it's even said in spiritual texts, like to be closer to God is to be more childlike. The more childlike you are, the closer to God. And of course, we want to be careful with that because it's not about maturity. There's a type of spiritual, emotional maturity that we have as children naturally, instinctively, that we sort of have worked out of us over time that we actually have to get back to. And that is the sitting with how we feel. We're taught over time not to sit with how we feel because it's not, somebody doesn't like it, and so we're taught not to do it, or it's not socially appropriate, so we're taught not to do it, and all these different things that we have to do to socially fit in, and then we turn around and realize this all effed me up to start with, and we have to undo those things, right? So this is that kind of awareness moment of, when did I let myself feel? Oh, when I was much smaller, my feelings were hurt and felt. and released. Kids move through things fairly quickly if you let them. If you sit with them and let them express their emotions, they actually move through them quite quickly. And it's a testament to how we can do that. The reason why some emotions feel heavy or sticky is they're not fully felt. And so it's sort of an understanding of that we're getting to. And that is one of the mysteries of life. Like, again, sometimes fixing it is not the answer. Sometimes being with it is, and it fixes itself. And we have to be willing to sit with it without the need to fix it, which is another one of those contradictory moments where it's like, well, I want to feel better, so I'm going to sit with my feelings, but what if I don't feel better as I sit with them? And it's like you have to let go, surrender the outcome, and just be present. And in being present, something almost always shifts for us. Physical outcome at this time, things brought to light or life resulting from the history of a major change. We're in a major change cycle right now. Major change cycle. Like I said, February is a big month. We're about to go into an eclipse portal that starts on the 17th with the new moon in Aquarius, the sign of the new age. We go into an eclipse portal. Inside that eclipse portal, Saturn and Neptune join at the world point, 0 degrees Aries, and create this conjunction that is about, it really literally represents the dissolving of something and the establishment of something new. It talks about the dream you had dissolving and the dream you are becoming solidifying or taking form, and that some of the things that we thought we were or wanted, we let go and we start to form the new. And I know that sounds really convoluted, so take it as you can. That's the Mercury in Pisces mind talking right there. It is a contradictory energy of a establishing and a dissolving, and they coexist, and they're happening within that same very energy, and this is all happening inside. So again, we're under a major change cosmically. The time of the cosmos says major change o'clock. There is a point of no return. Something that was is no longer. We're watching it happen. We're living it through it. You are looking at your life and you're like, the person I was is done, and this new person is here. Like, I'm being stripped away of things that I didn't ask to be stripped from me. I'm being stripped of relationships or jobs or friendships, or other things are getting stripped away. And it is this point in which it's like, I didn't ask for that, but it's happening. And there's a weird sense, if you allow yourself to be with it, you can find a center of peace within it, within the being peeled away layer after layer. At first, the resistance is there where you're like, I didn't ask for this. I didn't want this. I was fine. In fact, I liked what was here. And it's like, nope, it's being stripped away now. And if you resist it, that's when we feel the intensity of the pain and the fear and the what if coming up. But if we can sit with that and we're like, well, I am just being like pumice. You know what I mean? Like, deep exfoliation is happening all over me. And if I sit there and focus on like, ow, that's abrasive, it hurts more. But if I could just breathe and relax in the process and stand with yourself, right? It's okay to be here. It's okay for this to be happening. The abrasiveness goes down. And before you know it, it's already shifted. And this shinier, healthier, glowier version of you is present. And we're all going through it together. So I'm just going to keep saying that to you again and again. You are not alone in this process, no matter how stripping and humbling it can feel at times. You are not going through it alone. And there's a solace in that. And so with that, I'm sending you so much love. Have a beautiful week. Mwah.